and or federal politics, and how it affects us as a society today. So firstly is, why should we care about government? Why do we study it? I always used to say as a kid that I never cared about politics. But then I've thought about it throughout these past couple years. I've always cared about politics. I've always wanted my school to, have more windows. I wanted it to, be better and be a more safe and welcoming environment for us students. But then I think about it, that's part of politics. With the local school bond coming up, we have to vote on that. And voting is being a part of our local politics, as I've said before. Now, it also is essential for good citizenship. Why would we be a community without good citizenship? What makes a good community? Citizenship. That sounds very repetitive and redundant, but it needs to stick into our brains because we have to be participating in local campaigns and anything we can do to help make our local government better, to make our federal government better. And without doing that, it's not a good community and nothing will get done. It also helps us learn from past mistakes. Now, this may seem a little out there, but we don't want to act like how Hitler did. We don't want to be blaming our economic issues on a group of people that they had nothing to do with it. So learning from their mistakes as a government back then, though they may have been in a different country, it helps us learn from mistakes to make our government more successful and easier and better to be a part of. Now, it also provides us with our moral identities and our political identities. Studying government allows us to understand who we are. I personally identify as a Democrat. I like the idea of having freedom, and I like the idea of being able to choose what you want and what you need for your own body without people telling you what to do. Now, that may seem, again, a little out there, but that's just what I believe. You guys always may believe different. Of course, we are always, we're given the right to have our own political freedom. And that's what studying government does. It allows us to learn where our political freedom came from. And not only that, it prepares us for the future of politics. We don't know what 10, 20, 30 years is going to hold from now. So if we study government now, we will be prepared to listen to what happens then. Now, the importance of citizen engagement. I know a lot of you out there, including my family, has always been thinking about how they don't care about engaging into their votes, that their votes don't matter. Votes do matter. Every single one of our votes matters. And it's insane how many people don't vote, because our citizen engagement improves the influence we have as a society on the government. If we push an issue so much, it'll allow us to get what we want. If we want this school bond, we have to push the issue. And if we push that issue, our influence will be so great on the government, they have to pass it. Now, activities we can do without per se running for office is we can simply, like I said multiple times, vote on school bonds. Vote on bonds that have to do with our community and something that will make our community better as a whole. Or we can vote on electives. We can vote on electives. We can vote on who we want to be in office without running for office ourselves. And lastly, we can be part of a local campaign. We could donate to charities and certain political organizations that'll help push the issues we want to be pushed. So, elitism, pluralism, and trade-offs. I think those are some of the most complex parts of our government right now, mainly because of how I think. Well, elitism, that's the advocacy for the elite to run and dominate a part of society, such as the government. Now, the benefits of this is that there are a certain amount of intelligent, well-spoken, and out there representatives that'll run for office every year, or how many terms there is, and still get elected because they're elite. They have the most intelligence, and that's what we need. We need the most intelligent people in office, so we as a society can better ourselves. But the disadvantages is not every one of the elite, again, are intelligent. They can be super pretentious, and they won't always have the best ideas for what we need. Now, pluralism, that's the government of politics, emphasizing how politics is a competition amongst groups. Now, the benefits of that is that we have social bonds, freedom of politics, like I've said before, and it promotes consensus decision making. Though the downside of that can be they can be difficult to govern, because there's so many interest groups going at it and constantly competing against each other to be able to win the public side, that it can be difficult to even have peace, law, and order inside of a society. And lastly, we have trade-offs. Now, trade-offs is selecting the most advantageous offers. The benefits of this is that we can differentiate between the non-cost qualities. This means that we can go from having, say, the government wanted to have, this isn't the best comparison, but for people our age, it's what we can understand, in my opinion. Say the government wanted to host a party, and they wanted to have like 5 buckets of fried chicken from KFC, or they could have Panda Express cater their thing. Now, I feel as if KFC would be the least expensive, and we always want to go for the least expensive, but it will still be beneficial to us. So we would go with KFC because it holds enough, but it'll be less expensive. Now, the downsides to this is it increased job outsourcing, which I believe means that it has increased job, not unemployment, but it has increased where we go for one person instead of another person. Like KFC, it's where KFC has gone up, yet Panda Express has gone down because we always want to go for the cheaper option. Now, the core beliefs that led to the American Revolution. Now, this may seem completely off topic from what I was just talking about, but it's not. Elitism, pluralism, and trade-offs have always been part of our economy and our government that have led to the American Revolution, especially from King George and such. Now, the core beliefs that we have always wanted has been independence, freedom, which are different, but they correlate. And independence, freedom, and basic human rights, which King George just didn't give us at all once we left England and went to the colonies. So from there, the core beliefs, it created the Articles of Confederation. But a lot of things had to be done to the Articles of Confederation to become the Constitution, because the Articles of Confederation didn't really give the federal government any laws or anything at all. It gave most of the power to the states, which created a whole anarchy. And the government, instead of being the hierarchy that they should have been back then, the states were the hierarchy, never really allowing the federal government to do anything. They were just kind of pointless and there, and just not really doing anything. But the Constitution was made, and the Federalists wanted to pass it and such, but us citizens, we wanted a Bill of Rights. We wanted our rights put down on a piece of paper so that no one could take those rights away from us, because they were made by our founding fathers. Now, those rights are called the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, which is just mostly listing off all of our rights. So, again, those are the first 10 amendments. It's giving our liberties and our rights and setting it set in stone. Though we always have more unalienable rights, which allows us to have rights without them per se being on writing, because they're just our basic natural human rights. Now, from the Bill of Rights, we have the separation of powers, which still correlates to the Constitution. because of the judicial, executive, and legislative branch. So the separation of powers is the division of powers amongst each branch of government. So, per se, the USA, we have the executive, legislative, and judicial branch. The legislative makes laws, the executive branch execute those laws, and the judicial branch makes sure those laws are being lawfully acted upon. And they also have the Supreme Court and such. Now, the same goes for India. India has that exact same thing, but they have a prime minister, etc., etc., more like a parliament. And France, they have a prime minister, a president, and a legislative branch. They don't really have an executive branch. They just have a cabinet and such. And that is what we've learned in Module 1. I'm glad that we've finally been able to understand how the Constitution has allowed us to learn more and more and more about our country, and it's given me pride and joy being able to learn how to make my local community better, and how I can constantly give back and to our local politics by doing this stuff. And by learning about the government, I'm able to, I sound so repetitive, but I don't know, I feel like we need to constantly hear we can give back to our politics by learning about past politics. And that is my Module 1 discussion. I hope you enjoy. I'm sorry for all the stuttering. I don't know why, but I'm always nervous. But thank you so much.